All right, I don't know how it's happening, but it's almost 2018, so we're starting a whole nother year, and we all have a tendency to create some new goals for ourselves, have some different aspirations for ourselves, and that is freaking fantastic. What isn't fantastic is feeling like a failure. When we have goals for ourselves because we truly want to better ourselves, and maybe we do an awesome job for a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, and then the train goes off the track, and sometimes we end up in a worse place than we were before we started. So every week in the month of January, I am going to be introducing a new technique that I have tried and true and found to be really helpful with crushing your goals. This week, the focus is really on an app, actually a couple of different apps that help with habit formation. Ultimately, when we have something new that we're introducing, whether it is a new activity, a new healthy habit, or we're trying to stop doing something. Like mine was, every year I was trying to stop drinking Diet Coke like it was my key job in life. And every year I had a lot of failures. So ultimately, those things, the way that we're successful in crushing those goals is making it a part of our person, making it part of our habits that we get to the point where we don't even think about it. So sure, it's gonna suck for a few weeks, but what I found is by creating healthy habits and having some kind of something to hold me accountable and to even remind me of what my goals were, it really helps with success. You know, a lot of us want the unicorns, we want to ride in our unicorns, drink our potion, and then everything is just magical and works. And that's just not how it works. Everyone is different. If you crush your goals every year, then you are the freaking bomb.com. But for most of us, it's a struggle. My goal is to introduce things that are sustainable, that you can incorporate with not only your January 1st goals, but your goals throughout the year, because really goal setting shouldn't just be limited to January. I might have a mountain of things that I want to do, but what I want to do is I want to first prioritize so I can get some quick wins. Go through this in the couple of apps that I have found to be successful in habit formation and accountability. And I'm also going to say, sure, anybody can go into Outlook or their Google Calendar and create reminders. That's great. If that works for you, then that's awesome. For me, what I found is I have to separate that. I have so many different pop-ups. My work days are very fast-paced, and I'm just dismissing, or snoozing, and I never get back to it. The other thing that the apps really bring in terms of a value add is the ability to be able to look at trend lines, because not only can I see what is my trend, what's my win rate on if I want to drink a gallon of water a day, for instance. How many days a week, or how many days this past week did I crush that goal? If I had some days where maybe I missed it, were there other goals that I'm also tracking where I also missed those? Is there a correlation there? So it's really just interesting. And also, if you're competitive like I am, you get to compete with yourselves, try to get a winning streak. You get a little like ding, a little visual when you have a streak going. So that's an added bonus. So enough talking. I'm going to introduce you to these couple of apps. Again, if it's not your bag, that's fine. My goal is just to share what I've learned along the way. These apps aren't the only ones out there. I've certainly tried numerous ones. These are the two that I landed on. But if you don't like these, search around. If you have not been successful, it's a great thing to be able to set your ego aside and say, where do I need to change my strategy? And if you're not making a plan at all, honey, that it's not a goal, that's a wish. All right? So here is to crushing it in 2018 and beyond, and look for more in the following weeks. We are looking at the Productive app right now. This is the app that I currently use. I will show you another app, but the reason why I moved to this one is because it is a little bit more flexible in terms of allowing me to organize my habits into like a morning routine, an afternoon routine, an evening routine. And then it's also just more flexible from a scheduling perspective. So we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But this is showing me my current dashboard for the habits that I have for today, and I can see that I've got my afternoon habits, and then I've got my anytime today habits. Once I drink some water, it's just a simple right swipe, and then I move on. Now, if I did not do something, like I'm not going to do yoga today, I'm going to click to the left on that, and then I'm going to not have a winning streak on the yoga. Now you'll notice on this I have no bloating, and I actually put that for morning, afternoon, and evening. And the reason for that is because as a woman, I think a lot of us experience bloating, and I am very conscientious of my diet and really just trying to indicate, or just trying to find out what is causing the bloating. So when I eat certain foods, does that cause bloating for me later? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional type of habit. I have everything in one place. Now, if I go into the menu, this is where I'm going to be able to make adjustments to my habit and ordering. If I want to move things into a different order, or put things in the morning or put things in the afternoon, I can certainly make changes after the fact. You'll see I can also set up reminders from the settings area. Now, for me to create a new app, or a new habit rather, just a simple click down, this is what I really like. So I can use something from a predetermined list. If it's something simple like just exercise, that's very basic, or I can write my own. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to select one that's already done, and I'm going to say go for a walk. Here I can select what icon that I want. I'm just going to pick something random. Next. And then this is the part that I really like, is that I can indicate, is this a daily habit, a weekly habit, a monthly habit? Is this something that I just do every other day? This is where I'm going to set the time of day. And if you notice, I can say this is going to be more than just once a day, like the bloating, for instance. I do that morning, noon, and night so that I can really dial into what I ate prior to that happening. If I go into weekly or even monthly, you'll notice it doesn't have to be something that's every month, or every week rather. So I can say I'll do this every other week or every 3 weeks. I actually use this for changing my air filter in my house. Since that's something that I'm only doing every few months, this is a great way for me to stay on track for that as well. So on the stats, to me, this is the part that is lacking in this application, because I'm looking at my stats, but as you can see, my stats are basically one or everything. So I can see all of my stats for going to the gym, but I don't see how that relates to, on the days that I went to the gym, what else happened good that day. The other aspect of the stats is really just kind of looking at everything holistically. So it's looking for me to hit every single one of my healthy habits. So overall on the Productive app, I love the flexibility of the scheduling, and that really just works better for me. The ability to be able to establish routines for time of day. And that's why I like this one better. And it's also just a little bit more nice to look at.
The next app is the Way of Life 3 app. I used this for most of this year and I really liked it. It's just very basic on what your options are when you set up your habit. So what we're looking at is the exercising habit, and you see my options when I'm setting this up is limited to, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And that allows me to account for bad habits that I'm trying to break and tracking those. I also can associate categories with my habits. So I could put something along the lines of associated with my morning routine or my evening routine. The next screen that we're looking at is my favorite part. So I've got the area that I'm going to input my habit itself. So at the top I see exercising, and then I can indicate yes I did it, no I didn't. I can also skip if perhaps for exercising I had the flu that day. There's also actually an area where I can input notes so that I can do some root cause analysis later on days that I was not successful or days that I had to skip. Now this view is great because I can see all of my habits, and I can do some correlation on trending. Maybe, for instance, if on the days that I drink alcohol, that has a negative impact on my sleep or a negative impact on my food. Days where I don't start my morning routine off, the rest of the day suffers. So that's my favorite part. We are now looking at the notes page. So any notes that I have made associated with a habit on a day, I can go in and take a look at. And this is really useful. Personally, I use this for any days where I had to select a negative response to that habit or I had to skip it. It just gives me some insight when I'm going to look back to see, are there things that I can account for so that I am successful? Or am I just really missing the boat and I really need to revisit what my strategy is here? The next page, and this is the last page we're going to look at, is the trends. So this is the strength of this application, in my opinion. This is giving me a bar graph depiction of how I'm doing with the exercising habit specifically. And we're looking at a percentage. So I can see that my trend line is going up over the past 6 weeks. I'm getting a percentage of positives as opposed to the red, which reflects the days that I did not meet that habit. So it really just kind of comes down to what works best for you. There's tons of other apps out there. So at a minimum, I hope that you start thinking about how you hold yourself accountable and how you're ready to just change your strategy if needed. As you are setting your goals, I would challenge you to reflect on your wins. What went right? Even the worst year has some wins. And even if it's full of failures, those failures, if we allow ourselves, can be actual wins. That can be where the magic happens because that's where we learn. So I would challenge you to look at that and even maybe write them down. I would also challenge you to name 3 things that you like about yourself right now. I hear a lot of people say, I'll be happy after I lose 15 pounds. We want to be happy today. It's great to have goals, but we're not promised tomorrow, and we want to live our life, not let our life live us, not let those 15 pounds live us. So eyes on the prize, but write down what you're happy with today. Knowing your why. So number 3 is really important, and I think this is something that gets lost a lot, or we keep our why very surface. So for instance, if my goal is to lose 15 pounds and my why behind that is because I've got a vacation this summer and I'm going to be in a swimsuit, that's fine, but let's add some more meat to that so that we've got a little bit more of a driving force behind us to get us to our goal. How do you want to feel? That 15 pounds, what does that mean to your overall health, to your mental health, to any example that you're setting for others? This is going to allow you also to visualize success better. And just about every successful person out there that I know of does visualization exercises. So you want to be able to visualize beyond just the aesthetics piece or that surface part of your why. Number 4 is be realistic. So we've been talking about this. Saying that you want to lose 20 pounds in a month is not only not realistic, it's also something that would not be sustainable. So let's focus on lifestyle changes so that you're not making the same resolutions or the same goals every year or every 6 weeks. And number 5 is really important, plan. So you might have a mountain of a goal, but break that into smaller actions and don't try to do too many things at once. When you get overwhelmed, a lot of times everything will fall under the wayside, or you'll only achieve one and then everything else falls under the wayside. It's also easy to get discouraged that way. So identify small actions that you can form habits around, and then you can build upon those to make steps forward towards your big goal. So make this year different. Treat things different. You can take a look at what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked in the past, and get ready to crush it this year.